Frank was 71. He was the kind of man who mowed his own lawn, cracked jokes with the neighbors, and never missed his evening cup of chamomile tea. So when his wife found him unresponsive one quiet morning, it felt impossible to believe. He had no major illnesses, no warnings. He simply didn't wake up. But later, something came to light. There were 3 things Frank did almost every night, little habits that seemed harmless, but may have silently contributed to his final sleep. If you or someone you love is over 70, please watch this video all the way through. These small changes might save a life. Frank's wife, Judy, kept asking the same question. What happened? He seemed perfectly fine the night before. But when doctors looked closer at his sleep habits, they noticed some red flags. Small things most people wouldn't think twice about. Frank was 71. A kind man with a warm laugh and hands calloused from years of fixing things that didn't need fixing. He wasn't the kind to complain. He still mowed the lawn, helped neighbors change their light bulbs, and brought Judy, his wife of 47 years, a cup of tea every night before bed. That night was no different. He kissed her on the forehead and told her he'd be up in a bit. Judy climbed into bed, pulled the covers up, and drifted off to sleep like always. But the next morning, something was off. The bed beside her was cold. Frank never came up. She found him downstairs in his recliner, eyes closed, breathing quiet, too quiet. He was gone. There had been no warning signs, no major health issues, no pain, just silence. The doctors called it a sudden cardiac event. Common at that age, they said. Judy nodded, numb, but something didn't sit right. Frank had always seemed so alive. Later, a kind physician sat with her and gently asked about Frank's nightly routine. He explained that sometimes it's not one big thing that causes these events. It's the small, repeated choices we make, especially as we age. Frank had 3 habits. None of them seemed dangerous. But together, they may have quietly contributed to the night he never woke up. The first, he stayed up too late. Even in retirement, Frank was a night owl. He'd stay up watching reruns of old westerns or tinkering in the garage until 1 or 2 in the morning. He said he just didn't feel tired. Judy would often call up the stairs, "Come to bed, Frank." But he'd wave her off. As we age, our circadian rhythm, the internal clock that tells our body when to sleep and wake, becomes more sensitive. Studies show that irregular sleep times, especially going to bed late, can disrupt blood pressure patterns. One study from Harvard found that this non-dipping blood pressure during sleep increases the risk of nighttime strokes and heart attacks by nearly 28%. The second habit? He often slept in his recliner. Frank said it helped his back. The recliner was his comfort zone. But sleeping upright can reduce deep, restorative sleep. It can also worsen breathing for older adults. Poor posture during sleep has been linked to nighttime oxygen drops, something the heart and brain can't afford. And the third? He took all his medications, especially his blood pressure pills and a mild sedative, right before bed. Frank thought it was easier that way. But some medications, especially in combination, can lower blood pressure too much at night. In older adults, this can lead to dangerously low circulation when the body is already in its slowest state. Most people don't know that up to 1 in 4 seniors experience nighttime hypotension, and it often goes undetected until it's too late. That conversation with the doctor was Judy's awakening. She realized these weren't just little quirks. They were silent patterns, ones Frank had carried for years, that may have quietly weakened his body when it needed strength the most. Now, Judy tells anyone who'll listen. She says, it's the small things that matter. Go to bed a little earlier. Take your meds with dinner, not right before sleep. And please, sleep in a bed, not a chair. I wish someone had told us sooner. Tonight, when you tuck yourself in or check on a loved one, think of Frank. Think of Judy. Think of the quiet habits that travel with us into sleep and whether they're helping us wake up again. Because sometimes it's not the big things that take us. It's the things we thought didn't matter. After Frank passed, Judy found herself replaying every little detail of his last weeks. She kept thinking about the nights he didn't come to bed, about the soft glow of the TV downstairs flickering well past midnight. But more than anything, she remembered the recliner. Frank had back pain, Nothing major, just the kind that comes with age and years of hard work. He always said the recliner was more comfortable. The bed's too stiff, he'd grumble. So after dinner, he'd lean back in his favorite chair, turn on the History Channel, and within minutes, he'd be dozing. At first, Judy didn't think much of it. Lots of older folks nap in their chairs. But over time, it became his main sleeping spot. Night after night, he'd fall asleep right there and stay until morning. It wasn't until she spoke with their doctor that Judy realized how much harm that habit might have caused. Sleeping in a semi-upright position, the doctor explained, can restrict lung expansion. For someone in their 70s, that matters. It reduces oxygen flow at night, interrupts deep sleep, and can worsen heart stress. Studies show that older adults who don't get enough deep sleep are more likely to experience memory decline and heart rhythm problems. One study even found that adults over 65 who routinely sleep in a recliner may spend up to 30% less time in restorative sleep stages, the kind your brain and heart rely on to recover. Judy was stunned. She remembered how Frank would sometimes wake up groggy and confused. Just tired, he'd shrug. But now, it felt like a missed signal, a clue hiding in plain sight. That conversation became her moment of realization. It wasn't just about the chair. It was about all the little ways Frank's body had been asking for help, and how easy it is to ignore those whispers until they become something louder. If someone you love is sleeping in a chair because of back pain or habit, there are better options. Adjustable beds, supportive pillows, and firmer mattresses can ease discomfort while keeping the body in a position that allows for full rest and recovery. Even elevating the legs slightly can reduce pressure without compromising breathing. Sleep isn't just rest, the doctor had said gently. It's repair. Now, every night, Judy walks in her bedroom, turns down the covers, and whispers a quiet reminder. Sleep where your heart can breathe. Because she's learned that where and how we sleep matters far more than we think. Frank had always been a creature of habit. Even after retiring, he kept to a routine, not rigid, but familiar. Brush teeth, check the doors, one last look at the stars. Then he'd open the small drawer on his nightstand, the one with the Monday to Sunday pill organizer, and take his nightly medications with a sip of water. Judy used to watch him from bed, already half asleep. "Don't forget your pills," she'd mumble, and he'd smile, tapping the box. Wouldn't dare. He was diligent, even proud of it. Every night, without fail, he took his blood pressure medication and a small white tablet prescribed years ago to help with his anxiety. "Just helps me drift off," he'd say. Nothing serious. But after Frank passed, Judy began to wonder. During a follow-up visit, their family doctor gently brought it up. "Do you know if Frank took his meds right before sleeping?" Judy nodded. "Every night." "What?" The doctor sighed. "Some medications, especially blood pressure pills, can lower pressure too much during sleep. In people over 70, this can be risky. The body may not adjust quickly enough. It can lead to lightheadedness, fainting, even heart issues. And sedatives? They can suppress breathing, especially in older adults." Judy felt her stomach drop. It was another puzzle piece she hadn't considered. Another quiet moment that, in hindsight, held far more weight than she realized. It turns out, research shows that up to 30% of older adults experience dangerously low nighttime blood pressure when certain medications are taken too close to bedtime. And while sedatives may offer short-term calm, long-term use, especially in combination with other medications, increases the risk of nighttime respiratory issues and confusion upon waking. Frank had never mentioned side effects, never complained, but Judy remembered the mornings when he'd seem extra tired, a bit off balance, slower to respond. The truth was beginning to take shape. That conversation became her third awakening. It wasn't about blame. It was about how easy it is to trust a routine, even when our bodies, with age, begin to change the rules. What worked at 60 might not work at 70. So she did what she wished they had done together. She sat down with her doctor and reviewed every single medication, what it was for, when it should be taken, and whether it was still necessary. She learned that many prescriptions can be adjusted to morning doses, where side effects are easier to monitor. She also learned that over-the-counter sleep aids, while tempting, can actually make sleep quality worse over time and may interact with other medications in ways no one expects. Now, Judy keeps a new kind of pill organizer, one with color-coded sections and clear instruction from her pharmacist. But more importantly, she keeps a promise to herself to question what's normal, to listen more closely to her body, and to never take sleep or its silent dangers for granted. Because sometimes the smallest choices made at the quietest hours hold the loudest consequences. Judy now sleeps alone in that house. She sometimes wonders, what if we had known? What if he had just gone to bed earlier, taken his meds at dinner instead of bedtime, slept in bed instead of that recliner? But Frank's story doesn't have to end in silence. If you're over 70, or you love someone who is, take these 3 habits seriously. A small change tonight might mean one more tomorrow. Have you or someone you know struggle with sleep after 70? Tell us in the comments. Share this video with a friend. You might just be saving a life. Like this video if you care about senior health. Subscribe for weekly health tips. Comment your sleep habit below. We read everyone.